SCW is the official technology VAR of NASCAR. Whether you're looking to outfit the office with the latest technology from your favorite brands like HP, Lenovo, or Logitech, or you're wanting to race like the pros with a full cockpit on iRacing, just like the SCW sponsored driver Taylor Hurst. SCW is where America gets IT. Shop now at scw.com.
Make no mistake, a fight's a brewing. A fight for first, for the checkered, for the future of this thing, for immortality. It's 10 drivers in, 1 driver out. It really doesn't matter who started the fight, only one's left standing in the end. Battered and victorious. I am the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series playoffs. I am NASCAR.
Wanted the best, you got him for a breast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now.
Stadiums, minimum sold out. Mind, body, and soul. Got a heart full of gold. They can never hold me down. I keep my name on the low. How wild, my opponent been trying to chase for miles. The distance between looking like the West now. And my stamina adding up from setback, standing up. Look crazy, they see me and start pulling out their cameras. Tell them grab your pen, I'm giving lessons out. Getting bread, you won't worry about impression counts. Nah, you don't got a clue or even a single sense about having potential and trying to pull the legend.
This is the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
Big dreams or big pride.
The cars may be virtual, but the racing and scholarships are real.
Big dreams or big pride. We got big bags, they got big crowds. They been mad that we ain't got it. Turn up big dreams to a big crowd. I turn up big dreams to a big crowd. We got big
Race fans, and welcome to iRacing's coverage of the 5th race of the 2022 eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague, the SCW 120 live from the virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. James Pike here, alongside Josh Lee and Terry Radford to bring you all the action this evening. And Josh, this is as close to a pure driver's track as I think we have, especially on the oval side of the sim. This is a place where you have to manage your tires, you have to manage your fuel, you have the ability to push the pace and go quick for a few laps, but you'll pay for it on the back end if you do that. So when and how hard you push your race car will be very, very big in determining where you end up in the final running over tonight.
And it's such a unique track as well, James, because you can really run from all the way down in the apron underneath the white line to all the way up by the outside wall, and each lane is viable. I mean, there's not many tracks in the real world and virtual world that you can say that. So these drivers have a lot of options on where they want to run tonight, and like you said, they have a lot of options on where they can save those tires.
And Terry, we're giving away scholarship money as well to the top 10 drivers in this race, just as we did at Homestead Miami a few weeks ago, just as we're doing at every race over the course of this fall season. $60,000 total by the end of the semester going to our drivers to help further their collegiate educations.
Well, it just means more. I mean, you see it when we came in, you saw all of those amazing colleges across the United States of America and some not. And it's just amazing to see that these young students come out here on the iRacing platform and they have an opportunity to not only make themselves one of the best here, they get to be the best of the best in the classroom, and that's what makes this college series so special.
Plenty to find out, plenty to dig through here. This, of course, is our second race of the fall. We went to Homestead Miami Speedway back in September. We're at Auto Club Speedway tonight. 2 more races on the docket at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll be there on November 8th, and then we'll round out the fall schedule with a race at Nashville Super Speedway on November 29th. Both of those races, if you're eligible, you can qualify for by joining the time attacks from October 21st to November 3rd for the Charlotte Roval, and November 11th through the 25th through the Nashville Super Speedway. So if you're in college and you run on the sim Josh Lee, get in those time attacks, and you might be able to join one of these races yourself.
And the next one's coming up very, very soon. Only 3 days from now is the next time attack begins for the Charlotte Roval entry on November 8th. So better be ready to turn those laps on the Roval. A very tough racetrack coming up next.
Indeed, we'll go road course racing, but for now, it is time to bring you the starting grid and tell you where your favorite driver begins in this SCW 120. Daniel Falkingham is your pole sitter, the man from the University of Maine at Machias with the fast time of 41.257 seconds to set the pole spot. He'll start alongside Dylan Alt from Cal State Sacramento. AJ Green from Guilford Tech rolls off with Logan Clampett to his own side. Tate Lytle, Dimitri Mundros starting in row 3. Tyler Gary, Jose Solis Jr., Reese Bayham, and Anthony Burrows complete the top 10.
Got Coyne going to be to the inside of row 6. Tucker Minter is going to start to the outside in that number 10 machine. Back from there, Matthew Morton to the inside of row 7. Daniel Budafuco to the outside of that row with eNASCAR Coca-Cola's own Stephen Wilson and John Hall sharing row 8. Elliott White, Caleb Meadows going to round out the top 9 rows. And through to the top 20, Max Swearing into the inside of that row with Nate Stewart on the outside.
You go back here to row 11. You got Garrett Beaton and Anthony Kroback, Brett Suggs, and Troy Normill back there on row 12. See what row 13 looks like. You got Noel Fordrer and Alex Coletics, and then Jeremy Burns, Chris Fritz, Matthew Zwack, and Colson Phelps rounds out your top 30, James.
Final 9 drivers in our grid tonight look like this. Christina Ryan rolls off from 31st. She's joined on the outside of row 16 by Jay Cummings. Kai Bowen and Jason Marshall will start in row 17. Your final 3 starters in tonight's race: Liam Sheen, Daniel Silvestri from Virginia Tech, and Mario Miranda from the University of Oklahoma. There is your starting grid. We'll see if we can take a look here, Josh Lee, at our Logitech G track analysis before we go racing this Auto Club Speedway. Very sharp, very fast, long, big sweeping turns. Use your race analysis courtesy of Xfinity. And we'll see how fast these drivers can go for 60 laps, 120 miles, 193.1 kilometers. Pit road speed, 55 miles an hour. Your delta, 26 to 28 seconds. That's what you give up when you come down pit road. That could be crucial if we get a long green flag run. 3 sets of tires available to these drivers, and your fuel window, 32 to 36 laps. So you are coming down pit road at least once, Josh.
And we've talked so much about the uniqueness of this track and just how exactly these tires are going to wear and the lanes these drivers can choose to do that. And this track has been around in the iRacing service for a while, been around in the real world since the late 90s, and at 2 miles in length, 3.21 kilometers. It is really a unique track nestled in Southern California. 14 degrees banking in the turns. It's not a lot. It only goes down to 11 on the front straightaway, James, and that's what makes this track so unique. Not a ton of banking, but a ton of speed.
It is all in the driver's hands for this SCW 120 race number 5 of the 2022 eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague. Daniel Falkingham to lead the field to green alongside Dylan Alt, who had a strong run last time out at Homestead Miami. We'll see whether or not these two will be up at the front by the end of the evening, and if they'll be joined by more drivers as we get the green flag and the SCW 120 is underway for the virtual Auto Club Already
Already the field going to dive into turn number 1, James, and you can see already those multiple lanes coming into play. 3 wide in a couple of moments' time at the front of the field as they race to the back straight.
Everybody moving and trying to make gains on these restarts. And Terry Radford, the width of this racetrack, something we will hammer home throughout the night. You have the ability to just go and spread out 3, 4, 5 wide. So if you want to gain spots, restarts are a prime opportunity to do it because you can make moves that might not necessarily able to be pulled off in the next 5 to 10 laps.
Yeah, once the tires start to get some wear on them, you're really not going to see anybody sail it in there and try to make a slide job pass. But you've seen in the real world, guys, that it's an opportunity to make the pass happen on that outside. You see right here, we have a driver already up to that 5th groove, trying to wall ride it here as they try to go by the 56.
Here, I believe that's Jose Solness Jr., who is at least one of them that was trying to go up along the fence. The Yukon Husky trying to make moves happen. He's just behind Tyler Gary in this field. Gary had a great run last time out, the driver from South Florida out of Palm Beach State College. Just a good look at Solness Jr. And then Reese Bayham, originally from Richmond, Virginia, the driver for the Auburn Tigers out of the Southeastern Conference, making his way towards the front. Currently scored in the 8th position, and alongside Solness to try and lock that spot down and go after Dimitri Balundros for 7th or 6th.
Solness down to the bottom, and you can see already the 62. Anthony Burrows also looking down there. Burrows out of St. Charles Community College in St. Peters, Missouri, as they stay side by side down the back straightaway. And this is really where they're going to start to feel the effects of exactly how the air is going to work. And there's not a ton of dirty air in these cars, but it is still viable. It is still something these drivers have to look out for. And right now, James, not a ton of deviation from that bottom line. Everybody seems to want to get down to that inside white line. Nobody looking upstairs to the outside wall just yet.
Looking back off of Daniel Falkingham's machine and looking into his setup at his rig in your bottom right corner, the driver out of Jonesport, Maine, Thunder Dan, as he's known throughout the community, who also had speed at Homestead, Miami. He was another one of our quick drivers looking to better his run from Homestead by going to Victory Lane at Auto Club, gapping Dylan off by just a little bit. But the biggest thing we don't necessarily know just yet, but we'll come to see.
Oh, they're wrecking in the back!
Trouble further back, I believe, maybe. Jake Cummings might have been one of the ones involved. You see his machine there. Heavy damage to the rear of his Wingate University Ford Mustang. So he'll have to come down pit road most likely to get that fixed. We go back now to the battle between Reese Bayham and Tyler Gary.
Gary on the... Sorry, Terry. Gary on the upstairs there.
Yeah, you see that. You see that one machine having a good run at them. But now you go back to the 62. Going side by side, and James Pike, there's surprises here.
There are. This is your full detailed payout and what monetary value and scholarships will be going to each finisher in the top 10. Your winner tonight coming away with $3,500 all the way down to 10th place, who will walk away with $15,000 around and $60,000 in total over the course of the fall that we will give away here as part of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague. And look at that man, Steven Wilson out of the University of Iowa. He's I guess he's done a few things in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series this season. Josh, no?
Yeah, we don't really need to talk much about Steven Wilson's speed. I mean, we already know Steven Wilson is going to be fast. It just kind of depends on how quickly he's going to navigate his way up through the field. And he started in 15th, which is not the best qualifying effort from Steven Wilson in that 10 machine. But as of right now, he's up to P12 and battling Anthony Burrows with Tucker Minter sitting behind there as well as they fight off of turn number 4. Wilson going to cover off that spot on Burrows, and now has to try and set his eyes on Jack Coyne in front of him, number 52 out of Warren, New Jersey.
Coyne racing for the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, trying to keep a lot of these drivers at bay, as you see some of the good battles here in the mid-pack. But to the point that Josh made, Terry, this is a place where if you qualify poorly, it doesn't kill you as much as it might at some of the other tracks. I'd say outside of Talladega and Daytona, this is a place where you can get away with it more because you've got more room to pick through the field if need be. If you've got a good car that can run at pace and be quick, especially compared to the drivers around you, you can pick up spots. And we're starting to see that with some of the drivers throughout the field. John Hall is up 6 spots from where he started. He's currently in the 10th spot. With a good look at Dylan Alt, who's just hanging out and looking out at your top 3 going to have a moment to ride on board with Logan Clampett. Here's your Coca-Cola on board with the driver out of Trabuco Canyon, California, racing for Saddleback College.
Yeah. Well, and the good part is you see here with him on board is he's going to have to find a way if he wants to get around Dylan Alt here. He's going to have to pick and choose what lane he's going to take. Is he going to try to draft Daniel Falkenham, or is he just going to try to go up there and move the 42 out of the way?
Move to the inside there for Dylan Alt, looking underneath Daniel Falkingham for the race lead. And Clampett, I think, just laying back a bit, Josh Lee, and trying to make sure that he figures out who might have the faster car, what might be the better line. You don't necessarily need to force the issue at this point in the race, but if you've got speed and you really truly feel like you're faster, there is some value to completing a pass and getting ahead of somebody.
We glossed over the Xfinity race analysis when they were rolling off, but we really didn't cover the amount of laps in this race. 60 laps. I mean, that's not a ton compared to what we normally see in the real world here at the Auto Club Speedway, but 60 laps is a good amount of time for these drivers. So with a pit stop still definitely on the way, pretty much guaranteed, I don't think the aggression needs to be high just yet. I think Alt can lay back and kind of see what Falkingham has. I don't think Daniel Falkingham really needs to be, putting up the fences right now and trying to hold the 42 or the 97 at bay. I think for a couple of drivers towards the mid-pack, yeah, they can gain some spots now. No cautions guaranteed, so they can try and run the race with a little bit of aggression now, but I just don't see it being that big of a deal right now, James.
Not now, but that could play into things later because the tire fall off here is as significant as you will find at any oval on the iRacing service. You will see seconds the difference in lap times. They will slow significantly over the course of these 30 laps or so, should they go green the whole way. And if that happens, then the drivers who push hard at the beginning may be hurting a little bit towards the end. We look back at our battle for the 16th spot. The Kentucky native Nate Stewart racing with company alongside him. You got Matt Morton, Brett Suggs, and Max Swearingen all fighting for spots just at the back end of the top 20.
You see the battle for 16th heating up, and Nate Stewart and me were conversating on Twitter earlier. You can learn a thing or two from the driver of the Ford machine. He's doing a good job right now, kind of working his way through the traffic. He's up 4 positions from where he qualified back in the 20th spot. But that also comes at a cost because Matt Morton has fallen 4 spots back. So one person's gain is another person's loss, as the 33 is going to jump to the outside here at the 31 for another spot.
Take a good look here at Brett Suggs making his move down to the inside of Matt Morton. We'll go on board here, and you can see down in the bottom corner, he's got a VR headset, the driver for High Point University out of Mooresville, North Carolina. So let's take a listen in and hear how he plays with the throttle and comes off the corner, gets down and around this Auto Club Speedway. You can see in our Logitech G onboard, Josh Lee, just how cool it was to watch the camera move as Brett moved his head. You see him look down at the dash, look up at the rear view mirror, look around the upcoming corner to try and spot his line and hit his apex. Just some of the ways that VR can change the game if you race with a VR headset in iRacing.
That's one of the vantage points we don't normally get, and that's also one of the unique things about virtual racing and about eNASCAR. You can choose to race in almost any way possible. Some drivers like the triple screens like Logan Clampett. Some drivers will choose a single screen. Some drivers are in the VR world. You can really do a lot of different things with how you race in your rig at home in the virtual world, and we saw the VR headset out there, and now we see Steven Wilson on the outside line that loses a spot to Tyler Gary, and here comes Dimitri Mundros from behind to try and fight.
Should we be all that surprised, though, that Steven Wilson, who was victorious at Homestead Miami Speedway last time out, has climbed from 15th to 7th in the span of 15 laps? It's a fast field, but Wilson, one of the fastest, if not arguably maybe the fastest driver in this field, and a very clear threat for victory, I think, period, no matter what happens in this race. We stepped it out. Terry back.
Yeah, we're on board right now with the man of the one machine, War Eagle, to everybody out there in the great state of Alabama. Doing a great job on that outside. Obviously, he has the 10 of Tucker Menor, who is one of the most remarkable racers on the iRacing platform. A very talented young man. And then you got Daniel Buttafuoco back there behind him. He was an eNASCAR college winner back not too long ago at Watkins Glen, so he's doing a great job. But you see this battle continue to heat up. They're having to pick and choose which lane are you going to take, what's going to drive you further on to the front, and how much draft do you take. And also there's some side draft coming into effect here.
And in Minor's case in particular, the UNC Charlotte 49 are going to be maybe using this as an upcoming test for racing with the Xfinity cars and eNASCAR Contender iRacing series that will take place later this fall. So he's got plenty of reason to try and be quick in these cars and get around Jose Solis Jr. and John Hall to try and work his way up towards Steven Wilson. Everything's a circle in this case. You see Buttafuoco making a move, another big move just a little bit further back. I believe that may be Anthony Burrows trying to jump up and get a few spots. Nate Stewart's in that mix. Jack Coyne is also fighting for position as well as we go on board with Steven Wilson, the Iowa Hawkeye out of Iowa City, Iowa. Cool, calm, and collected, Josh Lee, as he makes his way to turn one.
And currently sitting in P6, and of course he'll be competing in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Championship coming up next Tuesday from virtually Phoenix Raceway and in person at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and giving us a little bit of love on his camera before we took him down.
And yes, you can see that broadcast live on iRacing's platforms, and you'll also be able to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. present the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Championship Trophy, new for 2022, as the drivers will race from the Great Hall and Glory Road right in the heart of Uptown Charlotte at the NASCAR Hall of Fame to compete and try and win the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series title for 2022. We slide a little bit further back. This is the battle for 13th. Nate Stewart, Anthony Burrows, Dimitri Mundros, Reese Bayham, Matt Morton, all drivers that we talked about a little bit over the course of this evening, but still continuing to fight for positions. And Burrows out of St. Charles Community College fighting the Hopkinsville Community College driver out of Kentucky as we go on board with the War Eagle, Reese Bayham, who's sitting just behind these two. And again, I think trying to figure out which line is the best line, who do I need to follow, who's got more pace, and what's best for me as I try and manage my equipment over the course of this green flag run, Terry.
Yeah, that's what he's kind of figuring out here. He sees them go side by side, has a bird's eye view, and you see single file all the way up through this field. Not a whole lot happening across, but he's watching these two go sideways in the corner. You see the four right there, and Nate Stewart get a little sideways. You also see right there, that's Burrows getting a little sideways off the exit of the corner. As now we go up here, there's a battle for the lead. Daniel Fulkingham, Logan Clampett, they've been going after each other. They were 1-2 in practice, so no surprise to see them fighting for the lead.
This is a home track race for Logan Clampett from not terribly far away Trabuco Canyon, and I guess by effect, since we'll go up to Sonoma, it is the same for Dylan Alders from Sacramento. So you got two West Coast drivers trying to take down the Maynard and Daniel Fulkingham as Clampett works to the inside, and we have our first proper battle for the lead on lap 21 of 60, just over a third of the way through the SCW 120.
Saddleback College to the inside. University of Maine at Mackay is on the outside, and now that's going to settle back to single file as Clampett cannot get the move done on Folkingham. Back to turn 3. Does the 39 go aggressive? He just goes back to the bottom, which is the same exact line that pretty much everybody is running in turns 3 and 4 at the moment. Will Clampett have the run down the front straightaway to get back to the inside? Here comes the run from the number 97. It's two Chevy Camaros setting the pace at the front, and here comes the 97 looking for the race lead to turn 1.
Folkingham elected not to block the run from Logan Clampett this time by. He thought about it for a little bit, but then thought better of it, and Clampett will go to the inside, but he's a little bit loose off the corner there, Terry.
Yeah, you want to make that move. If you want to make it stick, if you're Logan Clampett, you saw him kind of try to wash up a little bit, make Daniel Folkingham lift coming out of the exit of turn 2, and down this back straightaway. He did it perfect. A little side draft, goes back down to the bottom, sweeps it to the white line in 3 and 4. It's still a drag race, and how cool would this be if this was the finish of this race?
Would be wild, and it wouldn't be the first time we've seen a side-by-side finish like this, both in sim and in real life. In Fontana, California. This is a place that's known for a lot of really good racing and a lot of comers and goers, a lot of drivers reeled in at the end of this race. So something you may want to watch for as we progress through tonight's SCW 120, Josh.
And this battle for the lead, I don't think is going to go away much because Folkingham is right on the back bumper. He gives a shove to the 97 of Logan Clampett down the back straightaway. But in doing so, he didn't take the run to the inside, which honestly, James, I think is a good move. We're not even halfway done with this race. We'll be there soon, but we know we still have pit stops on the horizon. We still have the potential for yellow flags. I don't think Folkingham wanted to be aggressive to the inside of turn 3, which is why he just kind of gave the shove to the 97, stalled out his own run, but in turn, he now opened himself up to a possibility of being passed for second place by Dylan Oltz, and we know how hungry that 42 is, and how about the slide move in the background from Steven Wilson?
Steven Wilson is making his charge now up to the 5th position, or 4th position rather, in this race. He just managed to make the pass on Tate Lytles. You get a good look at Folkingham's machine, the University of Maine at Machias. Very, very quick driver who's been around in this sim. Now, we've got a little bit of extra help and a little bit of extra love from our friends at Xfinity for this fall portion of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. They have committed to the growth of the series by donating simulators to HBCUs across the country. Bowie State, Delaware State, Texas Southern, and Spelman College all getting rigs. And you can see the time-lapse build of some of these rigs in the lower right corner of your screen. Really, really cool to see Xfinity hop on board with this program and help to promote sim racing at the university level, Josh.
And amazing to see Xfinity jumping in and really helping to promote virtual racing. You know, something that, you know, Terry, James, me, we all love virtual racing and eNASCAR. And great to see Xfinity really putting their hands in and getting involved with the cause and to make sure more people have access to their own sim rigs.
I just wish I was as fast as some of these drivers. These drivers are definitely younger than me. You see, really good battle here. Look at Tyler Gary, AJ Green, John Hall, all fighting. This is just on the edge of the top 5, and Tucker Minter, Daniel Botafuco sneaking in the very back of this picture, but some really good stuff. It makes me wonder, though, whether or not Gary might have run the good off of his tires a little bit too early, and whether or not there may be the opportunity for one of these drivers just hanging behind him to make the pass. You've got a lot of pace and a lot of speed at the back end of this top 10.
Well, you get to looking at lap times here, and while they have fallen off, we were in the mid to upper 41-second bracket when they put the initial laps on these tires. We're in the 43.1s, 43.5s time frame. So I do think that they have really worn out these tires. And what we saw at the Watkins Glen race a little while ago, and what we also saw at Homestead the last race that we watched here, they pitted almost halfway. I think they kind of understood that maybe the caution will not come out. There's an opportunity with these are the best of the best. If you want great drivers, you're looking at them. Yeah, the Coke Series and this series, it's some of the finest racers on the iRacing service, and they're proving up to live to that hype. As you see the 03 and the 10 continue side by side with that's Botafuco back there in that 13 looking out for him.
Let's go on board with John Hull, the driver out of the Massachusetts Maritime Academy, and we'll ride on with him, see how he gets around Auto Club Speedway in tonight's SCW On Board. And you can see how Hall was trying to work to the outside there on corner exit at turn 4 and had to check up to make sure that he didn't get into A.J. Green. So he falls in line, and Green will now go to work and try and make his way around Jose Solis Jr., and that would be for the 9th position if he can pull off the pass. Meanwhile, up at the front, Steven Wilson back at it to the outside of Dylan Alt to take over the 3rd spot and now try and go after Daniel Falkenham. Also, let's get the call to Tate Lytle, who we've not had the chance to talk about all that much, but the Eastern Oregon University driver having a fabulous run here, just hanging in the top 5.
And that's exactly where the number 56 started tonight. So it's exactly where he began in 5th. But Steven Wilson, biggest mover of the race, up 12 spots from where he began back in P15. He's got pace last time by a 43.313. Can he keep up the pace? Some stragglers, James, hitting the pit lane further back. Not sure when we're going to see some of our leaders come down, but we're already starting to see a couple trickle. And here comes Logan Clampett in the 97.
Indeed, the Saddleback College driver is the first one to make his stop from the race lead. He will come down pit road and come in for service, and will try and short pit and gain a little bit of time, but he also is going to be a little bit slower on the back end of this race, so he may jump a few cars here, but may end up getting reeled in at the end of it. We'll have to see how it pans out as you look at A.J. Green and company fighting for position. Jack Coyne also there too. This is right around the 10th position.
And you think about the strategy that Logan Clampett's trying to put into effect here. He was not far off the race lead. He was sitting right there in the P2 position in a late dive onto pit lane. And now here comes Steven Wilson. He's going to come pit as well. And there's a whole host of drivers. Buttafuoco's coming in. A.J. Green will come in. Suggs. All these drivers diving. Oh, Carr losing it in the back. He saves it. But 2 seconds is the game. So do some math. You go 1, 2, 3, 4 laps, you're going to gain 2 seconds on those drivers. So it's all going to come out in the back end. If you're Falkenham or Dylan Ott, you need to come down within the next 1 or 2 laps, or this could be a walk away for Logan Clampett.
We'll see how it pans out. Bayham, Green, Buttafuoco, Wilson, Caleb Meadows, and company all on pit road for service. We'll wait and see if Falkingham decides to come in this time or if Dylan Alt will join him. Falkingham will make a late dive, as will Alt, as will Gary, as will just about everybody else who's yet to come down pit road in this SCW 120. So all of them will come down pit road, save for Jose Solis Jr., Anthony Burrows, and Alex Kalinich. Those 3 are the last 3 in the top 10 yet to make their pit stops.
And on the exit of the pit lane now, we're going to start to see that speed difference. 30 laps on these tires. These drivers were up to 43-second lap times, when a lot of the best times, James, were in the mid-41s. As we see Jose Solis Jr. work his way around Daniel Buttafuoco in the number 13. Well, tried to. There's the difference between old tires and fresh tires. Buttafuoco just coming out of the pit lane that time by, and here comes that big, and drifting into the pit lane is the 75 of Solis, and that's a save. I don't know if he sped or not, but either way, style 10 out of 10.
Style 10 out of 10. The question is whether or not, as you said, he gets a speeding penalty or not. We'll have to keep our eyes on it and see. Anthony Burrows here that you see on your screen is the last driver, or one of the last drivers, to make his pit stop. You see some of the drivers rolling past. These are drivers getting their laps back as it stands from Burrows, as we're going to get a really good look at what happened here to Caleb Meadows as he came down pit road.
Hey, slides it, locks it up, slides it, yanks it, catches the cone, and that looked like the wobbler kick that Tennessee had to beat Alabama on Saturday. It didn't look the prettiest, but, man, he slowed her down and got it in there. But what a heck of a drive for some of these drivers on these old tires, getting down, yanking these brakes as hard as possible, and trying to get every inch of speed and advantage out of these things to get on pit road.
And now here we are looking at Kai Bowen, one of our last drivers to make a stop out of Ivy Tech South Bend from Plymouth, Indiana. So the Hoosier in control of this for the moment. The next man in line after the cycle out would be Logan Clampett, who is clear of Steven Wilson by somewhere in the ballpark, I think, of a second. It's not a lot, but that's the difference that Clampett decided to pick up by coming down early. So the short pit got him the time, but Wilson should be just a hair faster over these final 25 laps if we go green the rest of the way. And the difference between Clampett's lap times and Wilson's lap times will be worth watching as we work towards the end of this race.
Well, James, I also have to mention it's only going to be one lap in between the age of those tires. If Logan Clampett, of course, another fellow eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series competitor to Steven Wilson, if Clampett really saves those tires well and Wilson maybe burns them a little bit too fast, I think we're not really going to see that much disparity in those tires. I think they might be on a relatively even playing field, but I think undoubtedly fastest driver on the track tonight has been Steven Wilson, so I don't think it's going to be a discussion of tire wear. I think it's going to be more of a discussion of who is just going to have the best car.
Time for us to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be back with the conclusion of the SCW 120. You are watching the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague for the Virtual Auto Club Speedway.
There are just two ways through the playoffs. The first one, elimination. But by the looks of these 12 drivers, it's safe to say that isn't an option. Now the second one is to win the whole thing and forever be called a champion. Thing is, there's only room for one. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs. I am NASCAR.
This is Miami. The beaches, the water, the palm trees. But at 180 miles per hour with your biggest rival breathing down your neck and a championship on the line, it's no time to relax.
Oh, into trouble on the front straightaway. Oh, man!
What do you say, fellas? Can you handle the heat?
It's a must-win situation.
The NASCAR playoffs continue at Miami on NBC.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now.
The eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. By SCW. Whether you are looking to outfit the office or race like the pros, SCW is where America gets IT. Shop now at scw.com. By Playseat, the official racing chair of eNASCAR. And by Xfinity. Get the reliable connection you need to keep up with the race from start to finish. Unbeatable internet made to do anything so you can do anything. Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR.
Welcome back to coverage of the SCW 120 for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague. You get a good look on board John Hall's machine, currently working at lap 40 of 60, 20 laps to go here in Southern California. We're going to take a look here at what happened to Jose Solis Jr. though in that pit stop right before the break. We saw him get sideways and drift it into pit road. Let's see how it panned out a few laps ago.
And James, that was a big moment coming into the pit lane on that cycle of pit stops for the 75 of Jose Solis Jr. He did get it slowed down. I don't believe he had a black flag for it, but you can see it just loses it and drifts it, and much like a 00, keeps it out of the wall. No cone destruction on that one, however.
We like all of our cones tall and strong and healthy here. and growing up well in Southern California at the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Here's Daniel Buttafuoco making moves. This is Tate Lytle that he's trying to fight, the Eastern Oregon University driver, fighting off against the Rutgers Scarlet Knight. This is for 7th and 8th on the racetrack. John Hall and Dylan Alt are next up on the track. Should Buttafuoco be able to make this pass?
This has been a pretty impressive run from the 13 as we take a look at Logan Clampett here. I looked at Logan Clampett's lap times just a little while ago, and he was running a fairly, similar pace to the rest of the field. Now you look back here at what Steven Wilson's been able to do, and for Daniel Valkingham, it was a 42.3 flat for those two drivers. So the 100 and the 39 outpacing him by a tenth of a second. We'll see what happens. You see the timing screen over here starting to kind of inch its way down ever so slightly. And with 17 to go when they cross this line, it's going to be imperative for Logan Clampett to just preserve the tires as he lost another tenth right there to Steven Wilson.
He did indeed, and that 10th is going to be the key number to watch for. The gap right now is just under 1.5 seconds. At this pace, if this holds, Wilson would catch Logan Clampett with about 5 laps to go. So keep that number in mind as we turn our attention to the Ohio Bobcat. Christina Ryan out of Columbus, racing for the University out of the Mid-American Conference. I guess we're used to some Tuesday night action on the TV. Here's some Tuesday night action from the Mac driver, Christina Ryan, making her way through Auto Club Speedway and pushing things for the Bobcats in a beautiful green machine.
And up 2 spots from where she began in that Toyota Supra, as well as she'll go down to the inside line. With pitting about 13 laps ago, she joined a lot of drivers that pitted in that cycle. Nobody really off-cycle, James. We had a Cy Bowen come down very, very late. He only came down 3 laps ago. Jason Marshall came down 8 laps ago. However, both him and Bowen trapped 1 lap down now, and they're going to need a yellow flag to use those Goodyear tires to their advantage, but they also will be tail end of the longest line with their wave around, so not the best pit strategy from them. I definitely think it's going to be a race between these drivers that kind of all pitted at the same time.
Yeah, Kai Bowen's strategy, I think, only pays off if you get a yellow in relatively short order to where you can stay out on the old tires and get the wave around to jump ahead of everybody, like you just said. As we get a good look at the Charlotte 49er and Tucker Minter, who has had plenty of speed in the sim, especially throughout the past few years. He currently finds himself in the 8th position, trying to run down Tate Lytle, John Hall. There's a good battle just in front of him and just up the racetrack. But Tucker Minter has been top 10 pretty much all night long, and I think for those of us who have been around the sim racing community, around the iRacing community, especially on the oval side, this is not a huge surprise. This is what Tucker Minter does consistently, week in and week out, regardless of what or where he's racing on an oval.
Yeah, and we're looking at the driver that is the fastest person on the track on this strategy. Out of everybody that came down in that 31, 32 to 35 pitch strategy way, and that number 10, that's the guy that's holding it up right here. He ran a 42.5 right there. Everybody else is in the 6s, the 7s, or the 8s. We still continuously see the evening out of the tires. He's still a 10th to 2 tenths faster than the rest of this field. So with 14 to go, it's kind of going to be a hope that he gets a caution to kind of shrink this field back together to make it go.
There's another on board with another VR driver, Chris Fitz, out of the University of Delaware from town of Newark, racing down the back straightaway for the Blue Hens, and we're locked in there. Not a lot of movement on his VR headset, just trying to knock off a few of these laps and make sure that he doesn't bleed too much time to some of the drivers around him.
Hugs the bottom of the line again as there's Jeremy Burns. Look at that relaxed number 72 from Bluemont, Virginia, representing University of Cincinnati, and he'll work his way into turn number 1, and yeah, just lounging in the dorm, even a little bit of a yawn, James, like he's outside for a Sunday drive.
The dedication to bring the rig into the dorm. If I had some sense, that's what I would have done back in the day. But he's just getting a good stretch there, I can see, and we'll see. I don't know, maybe sometimes they wave to the fans, sometimes they don't. We'll slide here to Doug Smith out of Mount Cobb, Pennsylvania, racing for the Penn State Nittany Lions, Scranton branch of the Penn State University. Big time season for them. And Got a pretty good setup there right at the corner desk. Reminds me of my first setup, actually, when I first started sim racing some 20-plus years ago.
Well, in the main, Penn State College got smacked by Michigan, which is still cool as we go on board right here with Appalachian State. We talked about Michigan. Appalachian State pulled the upset of the century in 2006, the last time Tennessee beat Alabama until this Saturday. And look at him just lounging around right there, has it down there with the gear shifter all together. Jason Marshall having a good job.
Tonight, he will give his all for Appalachian State, as the sign says above the locker room as they come out of Kidd Brewer Stadium out of the Sun Belt Conference, by the way, for those who are keeping track and have had a lot of fun games in the football world. Here's the Minnesota Polytechnic Institute driver Jack Coyne, who's been another one of those drivers on the fringes of the top 10. Again, also very focused. He's got a lot of work to do, though, here. Lots of traffic in front of him, so just trying to pick his way through it and maybe get to Daniel Buttafuoco to take over that 10th spot and get some scholarship money. That's the cutoff for the scholarship money as we approach the final 10 laps of tonight's race. One of these two potentially going over $250. The other, they have to try and qualify for the Roval.
And we look back on board at the number 15, Max swearing in out of St. Louis, Missouri, with St. Louis Community College at Merrimack, and heading down into turn number 1 in his Supra. He's got the Next Level Racing seat. He's got everything now and fully focused for the number 15 as he dives his way through 1 and 2 and back up. Even has the racing gloves on too, James, which is a bit of a controversial move in my opinion. Really only necessary with the Alcantara leather in my opinion to keep all the sweat and the oils off of it. But I mean, I do like the dedication with the racing gloves as well.
Continuing to work our way through this SCW 120, and if you want more information on the schedule, the standings, and how to become a driver in this eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague, you can log on to enascar.com/college today. Learn about how you can get involved with our next 2 races of the fall season, either at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway or at the Nashville Super Speedway to close out things towards the end of November. Really good battle here. This is for right at the edge of the top 5. John Hall, Tucker Minter, Tate Lytle, Jose Solis Jr., all in the mix, all fighting for positions and all trying to claw back Dylan Alt, who leads this pack off into turn 1.
Yeah, he's doing a good job here. You see Tucker Minter jump to the inside of John Hall, tried to make it stick there. He's going to have to get a little help, I would say, from Dylan Alt, that 42 machine, to get the momentum. He gets the draft down the outside as John Hall does in the 03, and now he gets a shove from the back. So the 56 is helping him out there.
And if you want to get a little dirty, you can slide over to the consoles and pick up a copy of World of Outlaws Dirt Racing. You can go log on to worldofoutlaws.com to pick up that game for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X. That's lots of fun that I've had the chance to play that a little bit over the course of the last few weeks, and they really did a nice job nailing the feel of just how hard it is to wrestle either a late model or a sprint car. But back in NASCAR world, back here at that FCW 120, little contact there. Solis gets into John Hall, and they nearly wrecked down the back straightaway. Tate Lytle, I think, may have given him a break there just to make sure that we didn't have carnage down the middle of the back straight. But Solis Jr. sends it in deep. Hall will check up and try and go underneath him, and there goes Lytle, who tried to get around the outside of Solis, but Solis came up to throw the block on corner exit.
They both touched, but no incident done between the 75 and the 56, and they continue to race side by side down the front straightaway. But James, I think just as quickly as, we went through the pit stops and we came out of the break, we're already down to 6 laps to go. I mean, this is crunch time now in this race, and as we sit on board with Tate Lytle in the number 56, you're looking up from P9. There's a battle for the lead starting to brew, and a battle for 8th is going to go the way of Lytle as the 56 goes forward, and here's the battle for second place, the battle for 5th place, Minter on Alt.
Minter clears Alt, move him to 5th, Alt to 6th. Alt will try and fight back on the inside. Meanwhile, you mentioned it, Josh. I'll keep people abreast of it now as we approach the final 5 laps. Steven Wilson has cut the lead down to 0.3 of a second. He needs a 10th a lap and needs to be faster than Clampett in 3 of the next 5 in order to make this pass for the lead and the win, and to continue a hot streak and try and go 2 for 2 in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series in the fall of 2022. Here's a look off the back of the Saddleback College driver Clampett. Looking to the outside there, Wilson trying to run a different lane, get some clean air on the nose, and make up a little bit of ground, and maybe potentially steal this win in the dying laps.
Hey, he's going to get the big momentum up there on the outside and then catch the draft down the front. If I was Clampett, I would have been moving ever so slightly, maybe pulling a little IndyCar move and sweeping it left and right. Don't break any much speed that you have, but just break the draft. As you see in the corner, Wilson goes to the middle groove. Clampett goes to the bottom. Wilson's going to get a head full of steam down the back straightaway, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes that peak going off into 4.
1 lap, the difference between the tire wear on these two drivers. Clampett came in 1 lap before Steven Wilson did. Here's the look. Clampett up top, Wilson down low. Here are your onboards and the battle for the lead and the win as they come down the front straightaway. 3 laps to go when they hit the stripe this time.
Time very quickly running out. The lap times right now between the two of them, Steven Wilson about a 10th faster than Logan Clampett, as now the 10 machine gets right to the back bumper of the 97 of Clampett. You see Clampett really focused trying to get this, and Steven Wilson got the elbows up on the wheel, and they are nose to tail down the back straightaway. James Pike, this is going to be a signature exciting Auto Club finish, as here comes Steven Wilson to the inside for the race lead in 3.
Wilson going to send it down to the inside. Clampett going to try and pinch him on the outside, and he'll try and get the momentum on corner exit to keep Wilson at bay, at least for the moment. Good run off the corner for Clampett. He should be close to Wilson at the line. We'll see who leads at the stripe. Last time by, Clampett by 13 1/1000ths of a second as they go back to 1.
Yeah, they go into 1 right here, and you see Clampett. He's going to have to back a little bit. He gets to the quarter panel. He was able to side draft, but it actually washed Clampett up. He goes up the track, almost into the wall there. Steven Wilson is clear by a mile. He's got 2 car lengths, separates him down the back straightaway, and that might have been the move that won Steven Wilson the race, as Clampett is now falling back drastically.
Wilson had to go check up a little bit, or rather, Clampett had to check up a little bit in the corner there, and that created this gap that Wilson's got. It's now up to about 0.3 of a second as we come to the white flag in the SCW 120. Steven Wilson trying to make it 2 for 2 in the fall season and keep the big scholarship money at the University of Iowa.
Running away by 0.3 of a second through 1 and 2. Clampett might have one more opportunity in 3 and 4. We've seen these exciting finishes happen at Auto Club, but down the back straightaway for the final time, James, I don't think he's going to have the momentum or the speed. Steven Wilson leads him to 3.
Does Clampett just send it off hilariously deep into the corner? He does. He tried, and he'll go up the racetrack and somehow keep it off of the fence, but he has to check up, and that will do it. Steven Wilson continues his streak and goes back-to-back in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague and wins the SCW 120 at Auto Club Speedway. Little love tap there from Logan Clampett as this race concludes. Wilson, your victor. A lot of really good racing at the end. But Terry Radford, that was a great battle between P1 and P2 to wrap this race up.
Yeah, it was one of the best battles we've seen. You got to see 2 drivers give all that they had for their universities, because you have to remember, in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, you're not just racing for yourself. You're racing for your university. You're racing for scholarship money. You're racing for so much more, and also the pride that you have winning these races. Steven Wilson goes 2 for 2. Now we got to see. People's got to tune in to the Charlotte Roval. Who can dethrone this guy?
Is a good question. It may be a bit of a different group because we do go road course racing next time out. It's been 2 ovals to start this season, so a different challenge for Steven Wilson. But it's time to take a look at our Coca-Cola winning moment of this evening, which is brought to you by the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, as Steven Wilson burns it down on the front straightaway here in Southern California. I think he might be trying to drive it to victory lane as we take a look at our Coca-Cola move of the race. And this is the pass that Steven Wilson made on Logan Clampett with a handful of laps to go. Secure victory in the Golden State, Josh.
and there was just a touch of contact too, but it was perfectly played by Steven Wilson. He got to the inside and then protected that lane. Clampett tried to come down to side draft and just got a little bit too close to Wilson. That contact was made, sent Clampett up the track, and Steven Wilson looked in his rearview mirror and said, "Peace out" to the 97.
He was gone at that point, and he comes back after this race with a little bit more scholarship money. $3,500 towards his tuition does Steven Wilson earn for his efforts in the SCW 120 tonight at the Virtual Auto Club Speedway. Not to say that Logan Clampett's not going empty-handed. He'll come away with $2,500 for the runner-up finish, and those two both getting a little bit of money to help with their tuitions. And about the coolest way I think you could earn scholarship money, Terry Radford, just by being good at sim racing. If only I either had the skill or the program was around when I was in college, I would have absolutely jumped all over this.
Well, I tell you, that's what makes iRacing so special. I mean, you see people of all ages, people of different ethnicities. I said that all wrong. Every single one of these drivers, male, female, whatever, older, younger, they have an opportunity to come out here. And for young kids coming into this goes, and James Pike, this has been a great show.
Been a lot of fun to sort this out. I believe, though, we are going to turn our attention to our race winner out of Iowa City, Iowa. Steven Wilson now joins us. And Steven, just take us through those last few laps, the battle with Logan, and the move in 1 and 2 to secure victory.
Yeah, you know, it was kind of just pretty close racing. I was running the seam in 1 and 2 the whole race, so that was the line that I committed to going into 1. For me, I felt way faster the whole race, so I was just kind of surprised he didn't move up before I got there. But just felt like I did the same move on a lot of guys coming through the field, so it was just kind of what I committed to. And I held it on my seam, which is where I was aiming to go, but I think he was just expecting me to go to the bottom. So yeah, it's just hard racing, but contact is never the way you want to do it, especially being Clampett out here to have some fun.
Bigger question. We go to the Roval in our next race for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. You're 2-2 to start the fall semester. Like your chances of going 3 for 3?
Yeah. I ran a B fixed official race here, just kind of feeling that out. The road tire or whatever is way different on these curves than what I'm used to in the next gen. So, I'm confident. I think my road course pace is usually pretty good. So hopefully we can keep the streak going.
And oh, by the way, you may or may not be making the trip to Charlotte in just over a week's time for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series finale. How excited are you to be part of that environment, that atmosphere, and to go chase for a championship in front of some of the biggest dignitaries in all of NASCAR?
Yeah, it's super cool. It's a great opportunity. It should be a lot of fun racing with the other 3 that I know pretty well. So hopefully we have a lot of fun, not only on race day, but beforehand while hanging out too. So should be a really fun experience to see all those people, and hopefully Clampett doesn't retaliate in that race. Thank you.
Steven Wilson comes away with $3,500 in scholarship money for his tuition at the University of Iowa in this SCW 120 by virtue of his victory. We now turn to second place. Logan Clampett is with our Josh Lee.
Well, Logan, it was close, but not close enough. What more did you need in that number 97 to grab that win?
Steven's usually pretty quick saving tires in this car. I don't really know how he does it, but I think even if I would have waited one more lap to pit, it would have been tough. But I just needed more tires, man. The setup was so tight. The thing is 73 ballast and 53.5 nose weight in it. Holy moly. But second's pretty good. I really didn't need Steven to try and slide job me in 1 and 2 there. That wasn't really appreciated, especially coming from a guy who's about to compete for the championship in a week. But it is what it is. I didn't mean to wreck him there after the finish, but it's just not really appreciated. Especially when he's got a lot on the line, and he won last race, and he's probably going to win the Roval next race. But it was a fun race. I'm glad I came home second and got some scholarship money from it.
You mentioned the next race for the NASCAR College iRacing Series being at the Charlotte Roval. Can you and the Saddleback College crew bring some speed into the Roval, try and beat Steven Wilson, prevent that 3 in a row?
No, Steven's gonna win. I hate to spoil the party, but Steven's gonna win the race. He's been obviously fast on the Coke Series stuff, so and my road course game hasn't been very strong on this new tire model. So hopefully I can bring a top 10 speed, but you'll see Steven winning that race again.
Well, second place and a lot of laps led tonight. Not a bad run for you, Logan. Congratulations. Logan Clampett, second place for Saddleback College, and Daniel Folkingham now joining us in the number 39. And Terry, you're going to be with Daniel Folkingham.
Daniel, P3 here tonight. You walk away with $2,000 of scholarship money. But I'm interested in all of the amazing stuff you have behind you. We saw the shot a little earlier. How long have you been collecting that awesome memorabilia?
I'd say I've been collecting them for at least probably since like maybe 2013, 2014 is when I really first started getting into NASCAR. But yeah, I got quite a collection. It's a big mess behind me, and I kind of got to figure something out to do with them. But yeah, so glad you guys could check that out. Hope you guys like it.
I'm a big fan. I need to get my man cave to look just like that. But the SpongeBob's back there. You got all the backdrop for us here on iRacing. But you go to the Charlotte Roval next. What's your road course game like? Can you go out there and maybe get that $3,500 in that win there?
I like to say I'm pretty confident, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see about that. But I'm not sure if I'll be able to run it because I don't know if the Contender Series race is taking place that night, which I'm pretty sure it is. It may not, but hoping I'm able to run it. But I don't know what the Contender Series schedule is going to be looking like with the College Series. But if I can run it, I'm hoping to do well. I think my road course game is pretty strong, but probably not with the likes of like Steven and Dylan, Logan, probably all them guys. But if I'm able to show up for the Roval, I feel like I got a pretty good shot. Maybe not the win, but hopefully maybe another podium if I'm able to do it.
Well, regardless what you're able to do, congratulations on Make It to Contender, and congratulations on P3 here tonight. James Pike, back to you, my man.
Let's take a look at the results very quickly for this SCW 120 and tell you where your favorite driver finished. Stephen Wilson ahead of Logan Clampett and Daniel Folkingham. Tyler Gary and Tucker Minter rounded out the top 5. Jose Silas Jr. was 6th. 7th went to Tate Lytle, John Hall, Dylan All, Jack Coyne, the final drivers to the top 10, and all of those drivers going with some piece of the $15,000 in scholarship money going to our drivers this year.
Nate Stewart ends up P11 with Daniel Budufuco P12, Anthony Burrows, AJ Green, Matthew Morton going to round out the top 15 on the finishing results with Alex Kalanick's race BM and more down through the rest of the top 20. Trey Normile with a good finish, Dimitri Moondrose, and everybody through the top 30. James finishing on that lead lap. We only get down to drivers one lap down in 34th, 35th, and 36th as we take a look at the final page of results. Unfortunately, Daniel Silvestri with an issue not taking the green flag. Liam Sheen with an issue, 31 laps down.
We turn our attention to the next race of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague. That'll be on November 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern from the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The time attack opens this Friday, October 21st. So if you want your opportunity and you're eligible and on iRacing, you can jump into the time attack, try and lay down your best lap, and see if you can be one of the top 40 drivers to have a shot at some of the scholarship money that we will give away. You've got from the 21st of October to the 3rd of November to set your time and get yourself into that race. Gentlemen, lots of fun this evening at Auto Club. Lots of fun in this SCW 120. A great battle at the end, but Josh, I think this race was a testament to what makes Auto Club Speedway such a great racetrack. You have to manage your equipment still and your strategy in that case. We saw that both from Logan Clampett and Stephen Wilson, and Wilson had just that little extra bit of pace that made the difference in the end.
Well, we heard it from Logan post-race. It was he didn't take care of his tires well enough, and Steven just had the tire advantage, and that's ultimately what got the 10 into victory lane. But at the end of the day, everybody had to manage their tires, and it was apparent through the field as well. Some drivers we saw that were pretty dominant top 5 to start the race, once their tires fell off, they were down at the edge of the top 10 or outside the top 10. I mean, I think this track more than Homestead, even though both had the tire wear component, with the high speeds here at Auto Club in these cars, you got to take care of those tires. And that's what we saw from Stephen Wilson.
And now we go to a completely different beast at the Roval Terry Radford, and something that's going to test this group. We'll probably see a new group of characters, a new set of drivers racing the top 40, but I also think we'll probably see some of the best of the best, not only at the collegiate level of iRacing, but in the whole of iRacing period, show up on November 8th.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you think about what they talked about with the tires. It really has been one of the things where the tires doesn't fall off too much on a road course. So we'll see some strategy come unfold. You'll see a lot of these private sessions get set up down here, or they're going to want to put plenty of laps down on that 17-turn road course. But phenomenal show here tonight, and I'm looking forward to November 8th for what's going to be a very thrilling road course race at Charlotte.
Our third race of 4 this fall season for the 2022 eNASCAR College iRacing Series. A big thanks to everybody at iRacing who helps to put the show on, for our director Drew Adamson and the whole team behind the scenes at iRacing: Corey Revenge, Sean Ambrose, Jay Kennedy, Ryan Bauer, Taylor Burris, Tim Burns, Tyler Maxson, and Zach Johnson. And for our team in the booth this evening, Terry Radford and Josh Lee, I'm James Bunt. Thank you so much for watching iRacing's broadcast of the SCW 120 for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague for the virtual Auto Club Speedway. We look forward to seeing you next on November 8th for Race 3 of the Fall Series from the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway.